Yeah, first booster.
Good. Yes, I think everyone needs 4 vaccination shots. I've got all mine done. You know, sometimes
4 times in total, is it?
4. Yes, 4. That's correct. Yeah, 4. I've got all 4 done. I think the last one was done last year.
Okay.
So I
That's
should
pretty early.
be okay. I should be okay.
You should be okay. Yeah. Pak Willy, if you don't mind, you can use the virtual background we have prepared.
Yeah, send it to me.
Yeah, it's in the chat box.
Is that? Okay. Can I save as? Okay, let me try, see if I can change my background. Virtual background. Add image. There you go. There you go.
Good morning, Pak Willy.
Putri, how are you, Putri? Yes, Putri, how are you?
Very well, thank you. I'm sorry, I've just arrived from Jakarta and now I'm still at the train station.
Oh dear, you're a very busy person.
No.
Was it a holiday trip?
No, Pak Willy, I'm attending a meeting conducted by the Directorate of the Teachers
Ministry.
Education.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it about? Big secret?
Well, actually, I'm a member of a team for the what is it? The developing the curriculum for the teachers profession program.
Okay. So this is for the program that Ina is in charge of.
Yeah, yeah, and we have kind of regular meetings.
Okay. So what is the latest update?
Well, we are having a new program for the pendidikan prajabatan, guru prajabatan, and we are now implementing new models of the curriculum, which is more teacher-centered and also more reflective. And actually, we are learning that from NIE.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Yes. I think NIE has a very good program, teacher preparation program.
Yeah, indeed.
Teacher development and also teacher redevelopment program.
Indeed.
Hey, Ibu Carla is here. Ibu Magdalena. Which school, which university are you from, Ibu Magdalena?
Besides PBI and PPI students, we also invite PPG students, Pak Willy. So we are currently running, we are currently running 2 programs for teacher preparation. The one called Prajabatan and the one called Dalam Jabatan. So
in service,
yeah, the in-service teachers
program. Oh, good.
I think most of the attendees here are the in-service teachers. This will be very inspiring for them, I'm sure.
What about the undergraduate students? Are they in the room as well, or they are not in the room?
They're on the way, I guess.
Okay.
Still 5 minutes early. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sure. Yes, Ibu Mita is there as well. Ibu Christina Laksmita Anandari.
Hai Pak Willy. Halo, Bapak Ibu.
Hi, Mita. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi,
How are you,
Bumita.
Pak?
Are you
Halo,
hiding?
Putri.
Are you hiding from me? Are you hiding from us?
I'm hiring from you, Pak.
Can I ask you a question, Putri, Burina? Studium Generale. Studium General. What does it really mean, actually? This is not English, right?
Wow. Kuliah umum.
Okay.
Like the popular term. Is it correct? Hopefully it's correct.
I don't know. This term is not used in other places, but very popular in Indonesia.
Yeah,
I don't know the
Latin
history.
term.
Yeah, I don't know the history.
I suppose it is a Latin term.
Latin, yes. Yeah, interestingly, it's not used in other places, but in Indonesia, it's very common. Studium Generale.
Yes. So is there any specific English term for kuliah umum?
Okay. I think people have used words like
public lecture, yeah.
Yes, public lecture or guest lecture. Or guest lecture. Yes, but
okay, so
yeah.
the undergrad students start to join.
Yes, yeah, they're coming in.
Start to, yes. Hello.
So are these first year students, second year students?
Third year.
Oh, year 3 students. Okay.
Most of them will be, yes, third year students.
Good. Local from Yogyakarta or from other places, from many other places in Indonesia?
From different places in Indonesia. But all of them are in Jogja because we are having all classes offline this semester.
So that's good. Yes, you get to see them. You know, you can tell whether they're listening to you or not when you have a face-to-face sessions with them.
Yeah.
Can you invite them to turn on their video cameras?
Hello, everyone. Whatever you are, be it PBI students or teaching preparation program students, we invite you all to have active interaction with Dr. Willy today. Don't be shy. And if you want, Pak Willy can also speak Bahasa Indonesia and even Javanese, right, Pak Willy?
Yes,
so if
I
they're
can. Yes.
Yeah. So if they hesitate to speak in English, you welcome questions in Bahasa Indonesia and also Japanese. I guess.
That is correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody, if it is possible for you, we encourage you to turn on your cam so that real interactions will take place, so that it doesn't seem like there's a blackout, mati lampu, yeah, because it's very dark.
Oh, there you go. We've got
Hello, Bu Narsi. Yeah,
we've got Juliana. We've got Aurelia. We've got Ibu Sri Sunarsi. Are you a student, Sri, or teacher?
No, I'm a teacher.
You're a teacher.
And I'm a student in PPG Daljab.
Oh, isn't that nice? A student and a teacher.
Program Profesi Guru. And do you know, Pak Willy, that Juliana?
Yes.
There, she is from
Juliana,
Kutai Barat. Yeah.
Where
it's
is
from
Kutai?
Barat.
Where is Kutai Barat? That is in
In
Kalimantan.
Kalimantan.
Okay.
Kaltim, right? Isn't it, Bu?
Kalimantan Timur.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Kaltim. It's written there.
Okay.
Sorry.
What is the biggest city in that province? Is it Samarinda or
Samarinda.
Samarinda? Yeah.
Yeah, Samarinda.
Okay. Did you study at Unmul?
No.
No, you didn't.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Good. I see some faces, but the majority are hiding from behind the cameras.
Yes, which is common
Mm.
in online classes. But usually Bapak Ibu from PPG Daljab open their cam during class sessions. Come on, Bapak Ibu. You can also show your faces today.
There you go. Yes, more please.
Okay, well, this is 2 minutes past 11 o'clock. Maybe we should start now, Pak Willy and Putri.
Yes, good idea.
All right. Okay. I'm going to start with greeting you all. Hello, good morning from Yogyakarta. Bapak Ibu, and also and also friends, students of PBI. Maybe there are also students from MPBI and Bapak Ibu dosen, lecturers, faculty members of PBI. Welcome to our Studium Generale with Dr. Willy Renandia. Thank you very much for being here together with us. We are so happy to have more participants coming so that the material, the topic that Pak Willy shares today will be known by as many people as possible. All right, so I hope you all are in a good condition, Bapak Ibu and everyone. How are you? How are you doing?
Very good.
Fine.
Fine.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Okay. All right. Thanks be to God that we can all gather here in good condition. All right. So I am Rina, and maybe some of you are already familiar with me. Today I'm going to be the moderator and host also for today's webinar / Studium Generale. So please, I thank you for having me today. And before I invite Pak Willy to start speaking and sharing to us, I would like to invite Ibu Tri, our chairperson, the chairperson of Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris of Sanata Dharma University, Ibu Veronica Tri Prihatmini MHUM MA. Time is yours.
Thank you very much, Ibu Rina. I'm so sorry. Probably there are some noises around me. Can you all hear my voice?
Yes, very clearly.
All right.
Yes, very
clearly. So first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Willy Renandia for spending your very, very valuable time with us. And we really appreciate this moment, Pak Willy, so that you will be sharing your expertise with all of us. So those who are attending this webinar are students from PBI, at least semester, well, actually we open it for all students, and hopefully the schedule does not clash with their lectures, so that they can attend these meetings a lot more later on. And we also invited students from the master's program and also the program Profesi Guru. So, and we also offer this opportunity to participants from the other, from the general participants, I mean, and we do not want to miss this very precious opportunity to learn from you, Pak Willie. So I will not take your time, which is very valuable for every one of us here. And at the moment, we have 125 participants, and I believe there will be a lot more. And anyhow, again, Pak Willie, thank you very much for the time, and we are now waiting for your sharing with us. I believe this will be very, very inspiring. So all students, all participants, let us enjoy the very precious time with Pak Willie. Thank you very much. Burina, give the time back to you.
Thank you, Putri.
Thank you, Putri, for the opening remarks. All right. So I guess everybody here cannot wait anymore to listen to Pak Willie's presentation. But before that, I would like to introduce Pak Willie, yeah. Maybe Mas Yudo, the operator, you can help me ya. Mas Yudo bisa membantu untuk spotlight ya. Pak Willie and me. Bisa dibantu untuk spotlightnya, Mas Yudo. Okay. Right. Sudah ya. Okay. Right. So maybe everybody has been familiar, like who doesn't know Pak Willie, yeah? Okay. Pak Willie is one of the alumni of PBI Sanata Dharma, Bapak Ibu. You should not be surprised with that. Yeah, he's a legend. He has published so many articles. He has been guest speakers in so many conferences related to English language teaching, which is his expertise. And he's a principal lecturer in the National Institute of Education, NIE, yeah, Singapore, in the Department of English Language and Literature. So today, Pak Willie is going to share to us all, what is it? A presentation entitled Learning to Unlearn Faulty Beliefs and Practices in English Language Teaching. But I believe in his presentation today, actually this is from his paper, and then it has been modified a bit and simplified, yeah, Pak Willie, so that it's more suitable for this presentation purpose. The title would be Misguided Beliefs and Practices in ELT. So I guess this topic is very appropriate to be known by all English teachers in Indonesia, so that we all can, stop doing the misguided beliefs or practices and start unlearn it and learn something more suitable for the context of our students. So what are the misguided beliefs? What are the faulty practices that English teachers have or are currently doing? Yeah, we should find out from Pak Willie's presentation today. Okay, so without any further ado, time and screen is yours, Pak Willie. You have around 1 hour to deliver your presentation. Okay,
thank you. Thank you very much, Ibu Rina. Thank you, Ibu Tri, and Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen. My presentation today is very straightforward, very easy to understand. I'll be sharing with you 5 faulty beliefs, 5 misguided practices that for many, many years, teachers have been practicing in their teaching. There are many more out there, but I will just focus on these 5 very, very important ideas in language teaching. But for some reason, people have been doing things that are contrary to what we have all learned to be very important in improving our students' English language proficiency. So let me just share my screen here. There you go. I hope you can see my slides there.
Yes, we can see it, Pak
Very
Willy.
good. Yes, you don't need to take notes or anything because the slides will be available for you to download. I have sent the slides to Ibu Rina and Ibu Tri. And if you want to read the whole paper, it is also very, very easily available and downloadable. Just a little bit, although Ibu Rina has already mentioned my university, this is an image of some part of the universities in Singapore. The name of the university is Nanyang Technological University. It's a very, very good university. If you are thinking of doing your graduate studies, apply for the scholarship, LPDP or whatever scholarships you can apply, and then come and study with us. At the moment, we have a number of docents from Indonesia who are studying with us at the university. I belong to the School of Education, Fakultas Pendidikan, and the name of the Faculty of Education is the National Institute of Education. Kata national is very important because that is the only, my School of Education is satu-satunya, the only School of Education in Singapore. And that means if you want to become a teacher in Singapore, you have to study with us. You have to study, you have to take the undergraduate or the postgraduate programs in my university. There are no other places where you can get your teaching qualification if you want to teach in Singapore schools. So my university or my school has the monopoly. No other universities can, offer that teaching qualification to people who want to be doing their teaching in Singapore. Okay, usually I would begin with one or two of the most important message that I want to get across to you. So today, the most important takeaway is this. Yeah, I think we need to look at our beliefs and practices. We need to look at them very carefully, and we need to be willing. Harus bersedia. Mungkin sedikit-sedikit ya, but eventually you need to be able to say that, well, those things that I've been doing are really, really bad for our students. Those things that we've been doing for many, many years may not be that useful because they don't help our students to develop their English language proficiency. Remember, our main job as a language teacher, as an English teacher, is to help our students develop a high level of competence, a high level of proficiency dalam bahasa Inggris. Other things, yes, other things are important, but the number one important thing for you as an English teacher is for you to help your students to develop a high level of language proficiency in the target language. Yeah, so this is the most important takeaway. As I said earlier on, I will be sharing with you 5. There are many other beliefs out there, but these are the 5 beliefs and practices that I'll be focusing on. Number 1 is grammar. Why grammar? Because whether you like it or not, you have to be helping, you have to be working in supporting your students' ability to use the English grammar in their communication, in speech, in writing, and so on and so forth. The second point is vocabulary. Words. Words are important, whether we like it or not. Words are things that the students need in order to express their ideas, to express their thoughts to other people. So number 1 and number 2 are probably the most important thing. If you are a guru bahasa, if you are a dosen bahasa, you simply cannot run away from teaching grammar and vocabulary. There are many other things that people have been saying they are very important, but these 2 are probably the core things that you need to, to be able to handle in your day-to-day teaching. The third one has to do with the text, the kind of teaching materials that we use in our teaching. What sort of teaching materials are we using? We'll be looking at this very carefully. Number 4 is about strategies. Are strategies useful, important, magical? We are going to explore this together. Yeah. And finally, point number 5 is about this myth, this belief that if you learn Bahasa Inggris, you have to be able to speak at the end of the day, like somebody from the US or somebody from the UK or from somebody from Australia. That is no longer true. That is bad belief, actually. Yeah. So these are 5 things that I will be looking and discussing with you very, very carefully. And throughout my presentation, if things are not very clear, kalau ada yang tidak jelas, Pak Willy ini have a question here and there, please raise your hand. You can interrupt me at any time. If you feel that I'm going too fast, if I don't explain things clearly, please stop me. Yeah. And Burina will be happy to see you interrupting me. I'm very happy to be interrupted. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at the first one. Grammar. Yeah. So the beliefs or the practices that I would like us to consider very carefully is this one. When the students don't do well, I think the tendency is for teachers to say, well, teach them more grammar. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Yeah, later we'll talk about the different types of grammar that we need to be teaching our students. But it seems to be the case that when students can't speak the language well, the teacher's immediate reaction is teach them more grammar. When they can't write very well, kalau nulisnya amburadul, teach them more grammar. If they don't like your English lessons, teach them more grammar. But that is exactly why students do not like your lessons, because you teach or over-teach grammar. And the last one, when they don't do well on examinations, teach them more grammar. I think that is the kind of responses that we need to re-examine, that we need to reassess. Now, this is what I have learned from being a teacher, from doing a lot of writing about English language teaching, from talking to teachers, from reading the literature on this topic. There are 2 types of grammar. Yeah, I'm going to go very slowly here. Ada 2 jenis macam grammar. Grammar yang pertama, the first type of grammar is known as explicit grammar knowledge. This is the kind of grammar that most of you do in your teaching. You teach grammar in a step-by-step fashion. Minggu ini, you just focus on countable nouns. Minggu depan, simple present tense. Minggu berikutnya, relative clauses and things like that. And you explain the rules, the regulations, the conventions, very clearly to your students. And you're hoping that your students will remember those rules. Now, this is what I call explicit teaching of grammar. Yeah. So my suggestion today, my advice to you today is this: teach less of this. Dikurangi. As much as possible. Sebanyak mungkin, this kind of teaching should be very, very much reduced. It's not very useful. Yeah, if you feel the urge, kalau nggak tahan, saya harus mengajar ini, yes, you can, but spend no more than 5 minutes. Spend no more than 10 minutes. And do not give your students, pages and pages of grammar exercises. Now, these grammar exercises are not very useful. I need to be very careful here. Not very useful if your goal, kalau tujuan belajarnya, tujuan mengajarnya adalah to enable your students to use the language for communication, this one is not very useful. If your goal is to help your students pass the examinations, supaya bisa lulus ujiannya, this one is good. Because the exam is testing, basically, your students' knowledge of the grammar of the language. I hope that makes sense, yeah? So reduce, if you can, slowly, maybe reduce by 10%, and then the following semester reduce by another 10%. So eventually, your whole curriculum will only, set aside like 10 or 20% of your teaching time for the teaching of explicit knowledge of the grammar. Ya, ini ada seorang yang namanya Michael Swan, seorang ahli bahasa, terutama ahli grammar. Nasihatnya seperti ini, Bapak Ibu silahkan membaca dengan hati-hati, dengan teliti. Ya, beliau mengatakan, should we teach grammar? The answer is yes, we should teach grammar. But don't spend the whole year. In fact, siswa pada umumnya itu belajar tata bahasa itu sudah 6 tahun begitu ya di SMP, SMA, but they still can't use the language of communication. So there's something wrong there that we need to really understand. So do you think we should be teaching all grammar rules to our students? The answer is no, tidak. His suggestion is this: teach the most useful ones. Teach the most basic grammatical rules in the English language. Yeah, now here are some examples of basic fundamental grammar rules that we need to teach our students. How to use simple sentences, harus bisa, harus diajarkan. How to use verbs, because verbs come in different forms in the English language. Yes, we have to teach them. How to ask questions, how to form a question, how to say no, especially how to say no nicely. Itu seringkali tidak kita ajarkan. Yeah, and there are many other, basic fundamental grammar that we have to teach our students. But how about this kind of grammar rules that the students have to learn from you? Not only, but also. Had I met you earlier, I would have, little did I know, it is imperative that every teacher be. Now, these are very complex grammatical structures. I think my advice to you is this: go easy on this. Yeah, I don't think you need to spend a lot of time teaching this grammar to your students. I think you'll be wasting a lot of your time doing this. Yeah. From my own experience, when I was a student many years ago, I learned all this in the classroom. Did I understand this? No, I did not understand. Was I able to use these grammatical structures when I graduated from Sanatha Dharma many years ago? No, it was very difficult. It was very much later that I began to be able to make use of these grammatical structures. And even then, if you think about this very carefully, coba dipikir bersama ya. How often do you use this in your speech? How often do you encounter this kind of grammar in your writing? When you read a novel, for example, do you often see this? The answer is no. They are not very often used. Yeah, I know that teachers mean well. They want to make sure that everything is taught to the students, but that is not a good idea. I think you'll be wasting a lot of your time. And if that happens, your students will not learn very much from you anyway. Bapak Ibu sekalian, yang kedua, jenis tata bahasa yang kedua, itu namanya implicit grammar. Implicit grammar itu perumpamaannya adalah grammar yang kita miliki sebagai penutur bahasa Indonesia ataupun penutur bahasa Jawa. Pada waktu kita bisa bercakap-cakap, berkomunikasi dalam bahasa Indonesia, kita ngerti grammarnya. But we may not be able to explain the grammar rules. Betul ya? When you speak in bahasa Jawa, for example, you use the grammar. You know the grammar. But you may not be able to explain which one is the noun, which one is the verbs, whether it is in the past form or anything. Tata bahasa yang ini namanya adalah implicit grammar knowledge. Ya, jelas ya. Now, this is the kind of grammar that is directly useful for talking, for reading, for writing, and for many other things. Namanya implicit grammar. We know it, but we may not be able to explain it. We may even not know that we have it, but it is there in your head. Yeah. So we need to teach more of this, or we need to provide students with opportunities, a lot more opportunities to acquire this second type of grammar known as implicit grammar atau intuitive grammar. Intuitive grammar itu kurang lebih seperti ini nih. If you write a sentence and you feel, I think there's something wrong there. I think you know that you are making use of your implicit grammar. Yeah, when you see your students producing a sentence, I think there's something which is not right there, but I can't tell you where the problem is. I think you are making use of your implicit knowledge of the grammar to make sense of your students' writing. Bapak Ibu kalau butuh apa itu sebuah kutipan, ini kutipan yang sangat-sangat bagus sekali dari sebuah buku yang judulnya adalah Instructed Second Language Acquisition. Bukunya bagus banget. I think you should be reading this book. But there is one statement in that book, one quotation that I think is very useful for us to remember. Saya akan baca pelan-pelan. Mbak Rina tolong dibacain dong. Mbak Rina suaranya enak banget ya. Yeah, the whole text. The ability.
Oh, the whole. Okay, the ability to produce language relatively easy for communicative purposes draws heavily on implicit knowledge.
Yeah.
By Lowen, 2014, page 25.
Right. Yes. Pelan-pelan ya. Let's unpack this. What does it mean actually? Yeah. What it means is that if you want to speak the language, if you want to be able to communicate in the language, orally or in writing, what you need is not explicit grammar. Tidak. What you need is implicit knowledge of that grammar. Kata kuncinya adalah draws heavily. Itu kalau diterjemahkan kira-kira 80 atau 90% itu yang dibutuhkan adalah ini, tata bahasa yang memungkinkan kita untuk berkomunikasi dalam bahasa itu. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So the ability to produce language relatively easily for socially communicative purposes draws heavily on implicit knowledge. So the big question then is this. Ini. Betul ya? So our job as a teacher is this. How do we teach? Can we teach implicit grammar to our students? Unfortunately, the answer is no, we can't really teach this. We can only provide environments, we can only provide conditions for the students to acquire, to learn this grammar rather subconsciously, rather implicitly, rather intuitively. Caranya bagaimana? Ini. Ya. Hanya ada dua cara. Yang pertama adalah melalui membaca, yang kedua adalah melalui mendengarkan. Bukan hanya mendengarkan atau membaca sekali-sekali, tidak, tapi sesering mungkin. If you read, if you listen to the language on a daily basis, half an hour a day, I think slowly and gradually you will be able to acquire the implicit knowledge of the grammar of the language. Tidak melalui berbicara ya, tidak. Berbicara itu, kemampuan berkomunikasi lisan itu adalah hasil dari ini. Bukan sebab, tapi hasil. I hope that makes sense to you. You can scan the QR code and download the paper or the book, the e-book. It's free. Okay, so that is faulty belief and practices number one. The faulty belief is that we teach too much grammar. We teach too much explicit grammar. I think the message that I'm going to get across is this. We need to reduce, kurangi sebanyak mungkin. Okay, let me be very careful here. If you are training to become an English teacher, untuk guru atau calon guru, first you need to know a lot about the grammar, explicit grammar of the language. But for your students, high school students, they don't need to. They don't need to know a lot of the explicit grammar of the language. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I need to move a bit faster here. Number two is vocabulary. Kosakata. Yeah, the faulty belief is this. Ya, banyak sekali guru yang mungkin berpendapat, mungkin merasa bahwa vocabulary is not as important as grammar. Kalau siswanya tidak bisa berkomunikasi, nggak bisa menulis, penyebabnya adalah pasti grammar. Sebetulnya tidak. Yang lebih penting dari grammar, if you ask me, is vocabulary. Vocabulary is, if you ask me, is more important than grammar. I think we need to pay more attention to how we teach and how we support our students' vocabulary development. Ada beberapa poin yang ingin saya sampaikan. Yang pertama adalah vocabulary is often neglected in favor of the teaching of grammar. That's point number one. Ya, kalaupun diajarkan apa itu kosakata, very often the words are presented in or out of context. Kata ini ya dihafalin ya, ini 5 kata baru dihafalin begitu ya. That is not very useful. And in addition to that, teachers often focus on just the basic superficial meaning of the words, also known as the dictionary meaning of the words. Very basic meaning. Ya, dan kata itu biasanya tidak memiliki arti yang lebih besar, arti yang lebih luas. The pragmatic meaning is often lost in our teaching. Ya, yang terakhir yang penting sekali, the pragmatic meaning, the social meaning of the words, the communicative meanings of the word is very often not included in our teaching. Padahal untuk berkomunikasi itu yang dibutuhkan adalah kata dan tata bahasa yang pragmatically meaningful, yang socially meaningful, yang communicatively useful as well. Dari yang saya baca, ya, dari literatur yang saya baca, I think it's very clear that there is a very strong correlation between vocabulary, kosakata, dan language skills. Language skills ini adalah membaca, menulis, mendengarkan, berbicara, reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Strong correlations. Ya, ini disimpulkan seperti ini oleh seorang ahli. Language ability, kemampuan berbahasa, is to a large extent a function of vocabulary size. Grammar, yes, grammar is important, but vocabulary is even more important than grammar. Hopefully this will be clearer at the end of my presentation today. Bapak Ibu jangan kaget, ini sebuah hasil penelitian, gambarnya agak sedikit, diagramnya sedikit kompleks begitu ya. But let me just explain to you very clearly. Start by looking at tujuan. Tujuan dari penelitian ini adalah untuk mengetahui, untuk memahami, to find out what are the factors, what are the variables that are most important in predicting students' listening ability, the ability to comprehend spoken language. Targetnya begitu ya. So the researcher is interested in understanding the factors that influence students' ability to understand spoken language or listening. Oke? Ini 3 faktor yang pertama, semuanya adalah mentally related, psychological factors, metacognitive awareness, attention, control, working memory, and all that. Ada 2 lagi, yaitu familiarity with the knowledge with the topic of the listening comprehension, dan yang terakhir adalah vocabulary size. Korelasinya ribet luar biasa, tapi hasil utamanya adalah ini. Hanya ada 2 variabel yang sangat berpengaruh terhadap kemampuan siswa, kemampuan kita memahami speech. Yang pertama adalah topic. Are you familiar with the topic of the listening comprehension text? Yang kedua adalah vocabulary. Yang utama, if you can read the small numbers there, yang paling utama, yang paling penting, variabel yang paling penting adalah vocabulary. So if your vocabulary size is big, then chances are your comprehension will also be enhanced. Topical knowledge is important, but the correlation is only 0.27, very small. Vocabulary, on the other hand, is correlated at about 0.67. So a substantial correlation between vocabulary and listening comprehension. Okay. These are some of the things that students always say about the importance of vocabulary. And I'm sure you can relate to this very easily. Yeah, I have a very small vocabulary. Actually, I think learning English, the grammatical rules seldom change. Betul sekali itu. Ini kata siswa ini. I just need to build up my vocabulary. Jadi kesalahan yang cukup fatal pada waktu kita memberi perhatian yang lebih banyak, lebih besar terhadap grammar. Padahal yang dibutuhkan siswa adalah vocabulary. Yang kita butuhkan lebih banyak pada vocabulary. Satu lagi nih, if I come across one new word, ini kalau lagi listening begitu ya, and there is one word that they don't understand, that's it. They get stuck. If you are stuck with one word, you are in trouble because you'll be missing the next sentences or the next utterances. So that is the importance of vocabulary, at least in the case of listening. The same thing for speaking as well. Very often students struggle, trying to find words that they want to use to express themselves orally, not the grammar. Okay? Good. So if that is the case, what do we need to do? I think we need to very, very quickly build our students' vocabulary size. Jumlah kata yang harus mereka ketahui minimal kira-kira 2.000 kata. Ya, Ibu Rina itu ancer-ancer saja sekitar 8.000 sampai 10.000 kata. Ancer-ancer mungkin lebih ya. Untuk siswa itu 2.000 cukup, untuk oral communication, untuk daily social interaction 2.000 kata is more than enough. Cukup. Tapi untuk reading and writing itu dibutuhkan lebih banyak kosakata. For reading kira-kira 5.000 kata begitu. To be on the safe side, 5,000 words. If you want to read a good novel, a best-selling novel in the English language, I think you need about 4,000 to 5,000 words. Kalau tidak, akan kesulitan membaca sebuah karya novel. Novel yang terkenal apa ya sekarang ya, Mbak Rina? Udah lama nggak baca novel sih saya. Harry Potter misalnya. I think you need about 5,000 words. Yeah, Harry Potter, that kind of novels. Yeah. Okay. One last point that I want to say, and then I'll move on. Pada waktu kita membicarakan mengenai vocabulary itu ada dua sisi. Sisi yang pertama adalah jumlah kata. Sisi yang kedua adalah depth. How well you know those words. If you know those words very, very well, if you know 500 words very well, if you know 1,000 words in the English language very, very, very well, interesting, you can express, you can say almost anything using English. Itu namanya depth. Kita kenal banget, kita tahu persis kata-kata itu, sehingga kita bisa memakai untuk berbagai macam situasi dengan menggabung-gabungkan kata. Ya, you put 2 words together, you put 3 words together, the meaning can be very, very different. Yeah. Now here is an example of what I mean by depths of vocabulary knowledge. Bahasa kerennya adalah bahwa kata itu, ya, dalam bahasa Indonesia atau dalam bahasa Inggris, in whatever language, words always travel together with other words. And very often we get to hear, we get to see words that are more or less fixed. Seperti ini. Ya, make do with it. Ya udah, biarin aja. Ngapain? Emang nggak bisa sih? Ya biarin aja. Make do with it. Ya, jadi satu begitu. I'll make it up to you. Ya. Make fun of me. Ini bareng satu kesatuan begitu. Make it up to you, make fun of me. The news made my day. Itu tidak dipelajari satu persatu ya. Make itu artinya ini, my itu ini, day itu ini. Tidak. You learn this together. Can you learn this in the classroom? The answer is no, you can't. Can you learn all these lexical chunks in the course books? Nggak bisa. Susah sekali. Yeah, but this is exactly the kind of things that people use in actual communication. Make up your mind and things like that. How about this? Can you say make money? Mbak Sri, Sunarsi, can you say make money? Bisa ya? Betul ya? Bahasa Inggrisnya betul ya? Mbak Sri yang keras dong.
Yes.
Yes, make money.
Yes.
Ya, kalau diartikan
Yes,
satu
sir.
persatu aneh sekali kan, membuat uang. Artinya bukan itu kok. Make money itu earn money.
Mencari uang.
Ya, nggak mencari-cari jalan-jalan itu enggak ya. Make money. Tapi, but it comes together and it has a different meaning, ya. Next, make sure. Make a sound, yes. Make a fuss, yes. Make a fuss itu jangan rewel gitu loh. Jangan ribet. Make or do your homework. Ayo, Mbak Sri. Which one? Which one do you say? Make your homework or do your homework?
Do your homework.
Yeah?
Do your homework.
Yes, do your homework. Why do your homework? Why not make your homework? Make money bisa, make sure bisa, make sound bisa, make a fuss bisa. Make homework kok nggak boleh, kenapa? Ada alasannya?
It's the collocation.
Yes, nggak bisa dijelasin. Jadi explicit teaching of vocabulary becomes very, very difficult. You simply have to see that these collocations or these expressions being used in your reading or in your conversation with other people. And after a while, these expressions will just stay in your head. Itu namanya depth of vocabulary. Yang ini, yang terakhir ini, Ibu Yuliana, make or do your bed. Make your bed or do your bed?
Make your bed. Make
yang
your
mana ya?
bed.
Saya jadi bingung sekarang. Make your bed or do your bed? Make your bed. Do your bed. Saya jadi bingung. I think
Make
either
your
one.
bed.
Make your bed. Yes, make your bed. Tapi kalau cuci piring, bahasa Inggrisnya apa cuci piring, Mas Sadid? Cuci piring?
Clean the dishes.
Ya?
Clean the dishes.
Say it again.
Clean the dishes.
It's not wrong. Clean the dishes tidak salah, tapi biasanya itu yang dipakai adalah do the dishes.
Do the dishes.
Interesting, isn't it?
Do the dishes. Do the dishes.
Wrong, but yes, but that's not what people say. Yeah.
Do the dishes.
So yes, do the dishes. Yes, very strange. English is very, very strange.
Yeah.
Okay. So our job again is this: how would you help your students increase their vocabulary depth, breadth, and depth? Something for you to think about. Definitely not by giving the students 10 words every day to remember. That is not the most productive way of teaching. And I have some questions here about idioms. Ada guru yang senang sekali mengajar idioms. Katanya idioms itu penting luar biasa, maka harus diajarkan. Misalnya ini, no need to cry over spilled milk, misalnya. Penny wise, but pound foolish. It's water under the bridge. And there are many, many other idioms. Do we need to teach them, Marina? Do we teach these idioms? Dalam bahasa Indonesia ada nasi sudah menjadi bubur ya.
Yeah.
Bahasa Inggrisnya enggak begitu sih. Rice has become porridge. Enggak bisa. Bahasa Inggrisnya adalah no need to cry over.
No need to cry over spilled milk.
Kenapa milk? Kita orang Indonesia biasanya tidak terlalu sering minum milk ya. Gitu. So my take on this is, I think we should go easy on idioms. Teach idioms that are the most common. Misalnya, a friend in need is a friend indeed, itu biasa, mudah dipahami. Tapi yang jelimet misalnya penny wise, pound foolish, gak usah. Itu hanya orang Inggris yang ngerti, orang Amerika mungkin nggak ngerti kok. Gitu. Apalagi orang Indonesia ya. Penny wise, pound foolish. Number 3. Okay, I still have a few minutes. Number 3 is, the first one is about grammar, yeah? The second one is about vocabulary. Between the two, I would emphasize more on helping students develop their vocabulary breadth and depth. Yang ketiga adalah text. Bahan bacaan atau bahan pelajaran yang kita pakai di kelas. Something for you to remember is this. Texts are super, super important. In the absence of interesting texts, kalau teksnya tidak menyenangkan, kalau teksnya membosankan, kalau isinya sangat-sangat bland, no interest to the students, I don't think you will be able to go very far in your lesson. Pada waktu siswa membaca sesuatu yang tidak menarik, itu their attention will just be going, to different places. You're wasting your time if the text is not interesting. Yeah, hari-hari ini, these days, I think people have been saying that content is king. Content is the most important thing in life, basically. In the classroom, it's the same thing. So try to make sure that the reading materials, the listening materials, the video materials that you're using are of interest to your students. Itu yang pertama. Kontennya harus harus really interesting for your students. The other dimension of teaching materials adalah dari sisi bahasa. Itu bisa dibedakan 3 macam atau 3 kategori. Ya, yang isinya, yang bahasanya itu mudah, comfort zone. Siswa membaca dan mengerti langsung begitu. Yang kedua itu stretch zone. Siswa membaca tapi mungkin butuh dictionary, mungkin butuh bantuan dari seorang guru untuk menjelaskan beberapa kata di sana. Yang ketiga adalah panic zone. Panic zone itu artinya bacaannya, well, it's just impossible, too difficult for the students to handle. Yeah. My question to you, silahkan dijawab bareng-bareng juga boleh. You can turn on your microphone and say this. Which one is best for language learning? Yang pertama adalah comfort zone. Baca, ngerti gitu ya. Yang kedua adalah stretch zone. Agak sedikit di atas begitu, slightly above their level. And the last one is panic zone. Panic zone means the text is just too difficult, impossible for you to read. For most of you, for example, reading, newspaper articles published in New York Times, for example, will just be the kind of materials that are so difficult. Yang mana kira-kira? Silakan dijawab. Anyone?
Stretch zone.
Stretch zone. Yes. Yes, I would have thought.
Not stress zone, ya, Pak Willy.
Yeah, stretch, not stress. Yes, stretch zone. Yeah. Yes, the stretch zone. Ini biasanya adalah jenis materi yang sering kita pakai di kelas ya. Ada 1 kata atau 2 kata atau 3 kata yang harus diajarkan pada siswa. Kalau tidak diajarkan, mereka akan tidak bisa memahami. So they must contain some new vocabulary. They must contain some new grammar points. And the text must also present some new contents. I have nothing against a text at this level. This is okay. Yeah. Yeah. But what I hear very often is this, that easy, familiar texts serve no purpose. In other words, comfort zone kind of text itu tidak punya peran dalam proses belajar mengajar. Itu adalah satu kesalahan yang sangat-sangat fatal. Easy text, the students read and they understand almost immediately, is very good. Because that is how students get to consolidate. They get to reinforce what they have learned before. Kalau setiap kali itu selalu bahannya baru, kapan mereka punya kesempatan untuk berlatih, untuk mengingat kembali, to see the same words, to see the same expressions, to see the same grammatical structures in their learning. Yeah. So dari sisi proses belajar mengajar, easy texts are wonderful. I think you need to make available a lot of easy reading materials, a lot of easy listening materials to your students. The more, the merrier. Okay? Easy text is a great source of comprehensible input. It's a great source of implicit grammar. It's a great source of vocabulary development as well. And it provides students with a lot of opportunities to consolidate and restructure what they have learned before, the day before, the week before, or the year before. It's a lot of consolidation that is needed to happen, that needs to happen in the language classroom. So, question for you is this. Silakan dijawab rame-rame. Can you increase the amount of easy and interesting text in your teaching? Jawabnya yes, you can and you should. Yang kedua adalah, where do you find easy listening and reading materials? Dari mana? Where?
Internet.
Yes, exactly. Google is there. Yeah. Or these days people are talking about ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is just wonderful. Yeah, if you find a text that is difficult for your students, you just put the text inside ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to modify, to rewrite this text for your students. If you are teaching secondary school students, then tell clearly ChatGPT to rewrite the text in a simple words. So these days is very, very easy for you to find easy text. So don't always think about teaching something new. Don't always think about teaching new vocabulary or new grammar to your students. Students need to see the same words, the same grammatical structures again and again in their learning. Selain dari Google, sekarang itu banyak sekali situs-situs yang menyediakan bahan-bahan bacaan yang very easy and freely available for you to use, free of charge, no copyright at all. Books for Asia is an example. Ini bahan-bahan bacaannya banyak luar biasa. Yeah. If you ask me, reading stories like this is more useful than asking your students to do all the grammar exercises, all the reading comprehension exercises, all the writing practice that you do in the classroom. Reading this is definitely more useful for your students. Yeah. Okay, number 4. Ulina, please don't stop me. I still have 2 more points to go. Yang berikutnya adalah
Pak Willy.
Yes, learning strategies, strategi belajar. The faulty belief, the misguided belief is this, that strategy is a magic bullet for language learning. There's no such thing as a magic bullet in language learning. Magic bullet means if you use a certain kind of strategies, you'll be able to learn the language, you'll be able to learn English quickly and efficiently, better than anyone else in the world. I think that, to me, is a faulty, misguided belief. Yeah. Jadi asal-usulnya itu seperti ini, ceritanya seperti ini. Kalau kita telusuri literatur yang membahas soal ini begini. Yeah. Researchers found that good language learners itu use a lot of strategies. Not so good language learners or poor language learners do strategies. They also found that there's a positive correlation between strategy use and proficiency. Yes, that is correct. And I've seen this. This is true. Yeah, so much so that some people or some strategy researchers itu sampai menulis mengenai the power of learning strategies like this. Saya baca pelan-pelan ya. Strategies are the L2 learner's toolkit for active, conscious, purposeful, attentive learning and pave the way towards greater proficiency, learner autonomy, and self-regulation. And this is what I mean by, strategy is magical. If you use strategies, you will become an excellent speaker, excellent, wonderful learners of English. I don't think that is the case. Yeah, I don't think that is what really happens in real life. Strategies are or can be very useful, but not super useful for language learning purposes. Ya, ini sebuah contoh, sebuah hasil penelitian. Kita lihat bersama ya. Sebuah penelitian yang dilakukan di Thailand. Thailand itu mirip dengan Indonesia, jadi cocok sekali nih untuk kita perhatikan. Judul penelitiannya adalah Metacognitive Pedagogical Sequence for Less Proficient Thai EFL Listeners, a Comparative Investigation. This is what it looks like. Ya, peserta penelitiannya adalah 64 mahasiswa non-English language majors, ada 64 orang. kemampuan bahasa Inggris mereka sangat di bawah ya. Miriplah dengan mahasiswa di Indonesia pada umumnya. Non-major ya, non-English majors. And this group, 64 undergraduate students were divided up into two groups. Grup 1 itu diberi pelajaran listening plus ditambah dengan metacognitive strategies. Yeah, if you don't know what metacognitive strategy is, look it up later in Google. It's very easy to find out about metacognition. And group 2, nothing. They just follow the usual lesson. Are you with me so far? So the experiment involves two groups. One group is given some treatment, listening lesson, plus instruction in metacognitive listening strategies. Group 2, listening only. Hasilnya, which one performed better at the end, Burina? Which one?
The
Which
one
group?
with strategies?
The one with strategies. That is what the researchers had hoped for. The results, no.
No. Oh,
No.
oh.
Bahasa Jepangnya onaji. Onaji itu sami mawon. The two groups perform equally well or maybe equally poorly. That's what happens. Yeah. And that's not uncommon. Mungkin itu hanya satu ya, mungkin hanya di Thailand saja, mungkin tempat lain mungkin enggak begitu. Well, I have another example here. This one is published in a big journal, Language Teaching Research. Konteksnya adalah Jepang sekarang. Topiknya kurang lebih mirip nih. The effects of metacognitive intervention on lower proficiency EFL learners, listening comprehension, and listening self-efficacy. If you are interested in reading this, I'll be happy to send it to you. And maybe you can replicate it for your graduate, master's research. Ini. Yeah, here is the context of the study. The study was done in Japan. Yeah, for practical purposes, Japan, Thailand, Indonesia, kurang lebih sama. Konteks belajar bahasa di tempat-tempat ini kurang lebih sama. English is a foreign language. And the mayoritas dari siswa, baik siswa SMP, SMA maupun university, itu kemampuan berbahasa Inggrisnya itu sangat masih di bawah begitu. Ya. Jadi the participants here are 129 EFL college students in Japan. Their English level of proficiency itu A2. Dari A1, A2 dari di bawah ya. B1, B2 di atas, C1, C2 di atas lagi ya. So A1A, A1A2 itu very basic, very elementary. And for this particular study, the researchers are looking at 3 groups. Dari 129 siswa dibagi menjadi 3 kelas. Group 1 received strategy plus listening input, listening materials. Group 2, strategy plus listening lesson. Group 3, listening only, the usual listening that they usually do in the classroom. Hasilnya? Results. The results are very interesting. Ada 2. Result yang pertama adalah the experimental groups, group 1 dan group 2, they were very happy with the treatments and they became more confident of their ability in listening to English speech. So good, positive result. Yang nomor 2, hasil yang kedua adalah what about the actual listening comprehension at the end of the experiments? Mbak Rina? That's the result. Interesting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Yes. Yes. So graphically, this is what it looks like. Mari kita lihat bareng-bareng nih. Grup 1 dan grup 2 itu yang experimental group. Ya. Their performance actually drop, terjun bebas ke bawah at the end of the experiment. The control group, malah naik. Interesting, isn't it? So the conclusion, if you ask me, is that lower proficiency students, A1, A2, itu mereka nggak butuh banget sih strategies. They need strategies. What they need is practice in listening, practice in reading. More practice in listening is more useful. Look at the results here. The control students who just follow the usual classroom actually improves at the end of the experiment. I hope that makes sense to you, yeah? Okay, so kesimpulan. Brief strategy in training, sekedar memberitahukan, hey, kalau belajar seperti ini, kalau mendengarkan seperti ini, that is okay. But don't spend too much time on this. Ya, go easy on strategies. Ini ada sebuah pesan lagi dari seorang ahli, namanya Daniel Willingham. This is what he says. Yeah, in the context of teaching reading, which I would say also applies for the teaching of listening. Teaching reading strategies, for example, is a low cost. It's a low cost way to give developing readers a boost, but it should be a small part of a teacher's job. Di garis bawah ya, it's a small part of your job. Your job is not to teach a lot of strategies. Your job is to give students more practice in doing the actual listening, the kind of listening that is interesting, that is comprehensible. Yang kedua adalah acquiring a broad vocabulary and a rich base of background knowledge will yield more substantial and longer-term benefits. Sama persis yang saya katakan tadi, vocabulary is important, background knowledge is also important. Yang terakhir, Bapak Ibu sekalian, aren't you happy that we have now come to the end, the very last point? Give me another 5 minutes and I'm done. Native-like fluency. For many, many years, for the past 100 years, native-like fluency, the ability to speak like a native speaker, has become the gold standard of English language learning in many places in the world. But that concept, that idea, is no longer viable today. Salah satu alasan yang jelas adalah ini yang dilihat yang sebelah kanan ya, gambar itu ya. Itu adalah contoh native speakers yang harus belajar bahasa Inggris lagi. Untuk apa? Agar mereka bisa berkomunikasi dengan siapa? Dengan kita. Dengan orang Jepang, dengan orang Korea. Dari para pebisnis, itu sekarang harus mengikuti kelas bahasa. Bagaimana caranya berkomunikasi dalam bahasa Inggris dengan orang Jepang misalnya. Yang kemampuan bahasa Inggrisnya nggak sama dengan native speakers. Yeah, if you're not able to communicate clearly to them, then your business will suffer, and you will not be able to, to strike a deal, a business deal with these people. So one thing to remember is this: if native speakers have to relearn English, do we want to speak like native speakers? No, we don't. We don't need to be able to speak like native speakers. Yeah. Alasannya, if you ask me, number one is this: it's not desirable. Nggak asik gitu loh. Wong orang Jawa kok ngomongnya kayak orang Inggris gitu. No, I don't think that is not nice. Orang Indonesia ngomongnya seperti orang Australia. I don't think that is nice. Because you'll be losing your identity. Identitas kita sebagai orang Jawa, orang Indonesia akan hilang. The moment we try to speak like somebody from New Zealand, you're done with. Number two is not achievable. Jadi banyak sekali orang yang berangan-angan, mungkin bisa loh belajar bahasa di Indonesia dan akhirnya bisa memiliki aksen seperti orang Amerika. Nggak mungkin, not possible. That one is not possible. I think you should retire the idea. Dan yang utama lagi adalah ini, English now is an international language. The number of English speakers from non-English speaking countries itu jauh lebih besar dibanding dengan native speakers of English. Jadi kemungkinan kita memakai bahasa Inggris di luar kelas itu lebih banyak dengan orang-orang Thailand misalnya, dengan orang Jepang, dengan orang Singapura. Hampir jarang sekali saya ketemu dengan native speakers of English. Most of the time is non-native speakers of English. And we communicate using English. Yep. This is what is happening these days. What is important for us itu adalah nomor satu. When we speak, people will have to understand what we are saying. I think that is number one of the most important things. Communication itu kan soal conveying information to other people, exchanging ideas with other people. Yang nomor dua, that when we speak, we want to make sure that our speech, our language is socially and culturally acceptable. That is another important dimensions of communication today. Yeah. So these days it's very good for us to be multilingually competent. So when you learn a new language, it doesn't mean that you have to abandon your own language or your first language or your second language. Yeah. So what you do is you just add on new languages as you go along. The standard that we apply today for native and non-native speakers itu sama sekarang. Ya, standarnya adalah when you speak, do people around you understand you? When you speak, whether people in the region understand you? When you speak or when you write, do people from other countries in the world understand you? Internationally competent. Yeah. And many native speakers that I know are not very competent internationally, speaking. And they have to learn or relearn how to communicate effectively in different contexts, in different situations. So the question of whether native speakers are better teachers compared to non-native speakers is no longer a relevant question, Bapak Ibu sekalian. Ya, yang penting adalah whether or not we have an effective teacher, we have a competent teacher. It doesn't matter whether they're native or non-native teachers of English. Yeah. So today, the big question for us is this. For you and for me, it's not whether you can speak the language like a native speaker, but whether or not you are an effective English teacher. The kind of teacher, who is able to support your students along the way, the kind of teachers who are able to effectively teach in support of your students' development of language proficiency. And what are the characteristics of effective English teachers? Another free book for you. Please scan the QR code, free for you to download. What makes an effective language teacher in a changing world? Ladies and gentlemen, here's a conclusion. I think we have discussed 5 ideas, 5 beliefs and practices. And we need to be very careful because we have been holding on to some of the faulty and misguided beliefs about how we should be teaching grammar and how we should be teaching vocabulary and the kind of text that we should be using, the kind of strategies that we should be teaching, and the fact that we don't need to always teach students how to use strategies. And finally, the importance of us teaching our students to be more competent, to be more effective. Doesn't matter whether they speak with a Japanese accent or with the Indonesian accent, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Another free books for you to download. Purina, back to you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Pak Willy. The biggest thing I learned from Pak Willy today is one word: generosity. Pak Willy is a very, very generous person.
Oh, the free books, is that? All the free books that I've been giving away? Yes, those are free.
I know, right? Not only the free books, but also the free lecture. We don't know how much we should pay you, but maybe I believe that you are very generous, and we are all we all really appreciate the material, the presentation that you have shared to us today. But Willy, I'm sure that all teachers, all students here are very grateful for that. Right.
Yeah.
So because Pak Willy is generous, I'm sure that he is still willing to spare some time with us.
Yes, as much time.
Some time.
Yes,
with us to answer our questions today.
Yes.
So in this precious opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you all to have a discussion with Pak Willy. Yeah, you may ask any questions related to what he has shared to us today.
You can ask me
the very first question. Pak Willy.
Almost anything about what I just shared with you, about life, about your career, anything.
Okay.
Go ahead and ask me.
So it doesn't have to be limited to this topic, yeah, but
anything, yes.
Consult about everything to Pak Willy. But a very first question has been sent to our chat box. So let me, please allow me to read that aloud. This question is from Andrea Melissa. She is one of our students in PBI. She's semester 2, I guess.
Yeah.
Semester 2, right? Okay. So the question is, a lot of students of any grade are struggling with comprehending grammar. That's really true. Yeah. Many think that studying grammar is extremely hard, so that many are avoiding to study it. Yeah. Is there any tips and tricks to teach grammar so that the students will enjoy and love studying grammar? So thank you. Of course, this is in the context of a bit different context from what the school teachers are doing. Yeah, but really because we are preparing Indonesian students to be English teachers. So in that case, how to make our undergraduate students to enjoy learning grammar. Thank you.
Yes. I hope you remember what I said earlier on. There are two types of grammar. One is explicit grammar teaching, the step-by-step teaching of grammar rules, grammar regulations that we normally teach our students. I would say go easy on them. Just teach some, not too much. Yeah, just teach them enough grammar so that, now this is very important, so that they can understand. So understanding comes first, so that they can understand when they read a piece of text, when they listen to something, or when they watch movies, they can understand what the grammar is all about. But don't spend too much time teaching grammar. Yeah, the moment the students are able to begin to read and to listen and to view and to watch movies with comprehension, I think that is when the students begin to slowly and gradually and unconsciously acquire the implicit grammar of the language. Yeah, so for many years, if you ask me, I think we have been doing the wrong thing. We all mean well. We mean well. We want our students to know about the grammar. But I think experience tells us and research tells us that what we teach actually, the explicit grammar and exercises, grammar drills that we do actually is not actually helping our students. Yeah. And research tells us very clearly, experience tells us very clearly that the students can acquire a lot of grammar, a lot of implicit grammar, a lot of intuitive grammar. Ya, contoh ekstrimnya begini nih, contoh ekstrimnya supaya jelas ya. Seorang anak yang baru lahir, selama hampir 1 tahun itu anak itu hanya mendengarkan, betul ya? Tidak berbicara. Setelah setahun baru anak itu mulai berbicara. Tata bahasanya mungkin tidak terlalu bagus, but give him or her another year or so, then bam, you know, the babies, these young children begin to be able to produce, you know, sentences, to be able to communicate their ideas with other people. Do they use grammar? Of course they use grammar. Terus grammarnya dari mana? Apakah dari ibunya yang setiap hari memberikan latihan-latihan tata bahasa kepada anak itu? The answer is no. The students, the child acquires the grammar implicitly. Begitu. Intuitively. And after 1 year, after 2 years, the child begins to be able to use the language for communication, for oral interaction with other people around him or around her. So, teach grammar for comprehension purposes. Itu satu hal yang perlu kita pahami. Do not teach grammar so that the students can tell you the grammar rules that you have taught them. Misalnya, tata bahasa yang menyangkut teks, misalnya text grammar. A narrative atau a fiction itu biasanya ada orientation, ada characterization, ada complication, and things like that. That is knowledge. It's not very useful. Yeah, what the students need to know is for them to understand and enjoy a nice story. That's what they need. Yeah. Please remember, I'm not saying that we don't need to teach our students grammar. We should teach our students grammar, but the amount of grammar teaching should be kept to a minimum. Another example I want to give you is what happens in Singapore primary schools. Di kelas SD di Singapura, itu proses belajar bahasanya itu adalah dengan cara setiap hari guru itu bercerita, membawa buku cerita dan buku itu, dan the teacher read aloud the story to the students on a daily basis. Setiap hari, entah berapa jam, sampai 4-5 tahun anak-anak itu belajar di kelas dengan guru yang bersangkutan. So every day they are doing a lot of listening. And in the process of listening, the comprehension, they begin to acquire, they begin to learn the grammar, the vocabulary, the expressions that they have been listening from the teachers on a daily basis. Does it mean that the teachers don't teach grammar at all? They do. But grammar is taught as and when. Jadi tidak disiapkan hari ini saya mengajar the present tense. No, it's not like that. The present tense is taught in the context of that story. The past tense is taught in the context of that particular story. Yeah. So the noun clauses, for example, are taught always in the context of a story for young children. And I think that is the way to go. Yes, Borina, please carry on. I think Bu Mega has a question.
Very well understood, Pak Willy.
Yes,
Thank you.
Mega has a question. Mega Wulandari.
Right. You raise your hand, Bu Mega.
Oh yes, since yesterday.
Ask your question.
All right. Okay.
Yes, Mega.
Pak Willy. All right. So since you were mentioning, you have mentioned about ChatGPT, the emergence of AI.
Yeah.
In today's world, yeah, I think it really affects the way people learn today, right?
Yeah.
So how will you actually suggest students to live hand in hand with AI? Not really rely on AI, but we can actually learn with AI together. Thank you, Pak Willy. That's my question.
For young children?
Well, no. There's a lot of my students here, especially for higher education students, university students.
Yeah. For higher education in other areas of language teaching, in other areas of language learning, I think we should encourage students to use AI in a responsible and ethical manner. I think that is something that we should be encouraging. Yeah. So there's a big difference between copying and creating. There's a big difference between copying, downloading information from the internet through ChatGPT, and there's also a difference in terms of how the students can work with ChatGPT. My own opinion is that students should be allowed to use ChatGPT, but at the same time, we also need to teach students how to make good use of the information that is available from ChatGPT. For writing purposes, for example, when it is writing, you can get the students to generate, an outline of their essay first. But that should not be the only goal. I think the next step is for you to teach your students to examine the outline suggested by ChatGPT and ask the students to do a bit more reading in order to tweak, in order to polish the information that has been provided by ChatGPT. ChatGPT at the moment is not very, very smart, especially when it comes to something that is very, very contextualized. Like dealing with a certain group of students in the classroom, ChatGPT will not be able to give you that customized or specific information. But as a rule of thumb, ChatGPT can give you the first draft of ideas. And the second draft will require the students to put in a bit more effort. So my feeling is that ChatGPT will be with us for many, many years to come. There's a lot of, feeling of anxiety and fear among educators, which is actually what happened when calculators were created. Math teachers did not allow students to use calculators back then, but now calculators is a common, tool that teachers use and students use on a daily basis. The same thing with ChatGPT. So yes, I know Mega is very much into technology. Yeah, but ChatGPT does not make your students become more proficient in learning or in acquiring the English language.
Right. Thank you, Pak Willy, for the answer.
Yes, more questions, please, from the audience.
Okay, thank you for the answer and also the question. Yeah, Bumega, that's really interesting. Ibu Tri is raising her hand. So yes, please.
Yes.
Yes,
Open your mic.
Okay. Thank you, Burina. Pak Willy, thank you very much for, giving your statements about the, the provision of native speakers, or whether or not it is, still relevant or the most important thing in learning English. We have been, for many, many years in our study program, we don't have native speakers anymore because we believe that actually what the students can learn from our exposure and also, it does not really decrease their proficiency. We believe in that. Okay. But anyhow, when we are talking about the, the society or people in general, then they might still strongly believe, that the provision of native speaker is something which is, required or very important. So what would you suggest, Pak Willy, in order to assure, especially the, the prospective students or more probably the society, so that they, they will, they will not compare one's institution or language courses with the others by only looking at the provision of the native speakers. Thank you.
Yes, my take is this. If you have the resources, if you want to hire native speakers, that's perfectly fine. But make sure that you hire native speakers that are professionally competent. I think the key word today is professionally competent, as competent as our non-native speakers and non-native speaking English teachers. Yeah, I have no issue with that. Some native speakers are very good teachers, some are not good teachers. In the same way that some non-native speakers are not good teachers, some are very, very good teachers. Yeah, but the basis for judging whether somebody is a good teacher is whether or not the person is effective, professionally competent teachers, not because they are from the US, not because they are native speakers of the language. So yes, if you have the resources, please go ahead and hire some of them just to increase the marketability of your program. I know that in some places, in Indonesia is not a bad place, but if you look at places like Japan, for example, most universities in Japan would hire native speakers to teach English to their undergraduate students. I think that has become a standard, standard practice in many universities in Japan. If you are a non-native speaker, it may be a bit difficult for you to find a job in teaching English in Japan or in Korea, for example. So yes, some discrimination is still there. That universities, institutions, society, parents as well, they prefer native speakers of English. It's difficult to eliminate the discrimination that happens in the workplace. But I think our main, our long-term goal is to educate our students and also parents that I'm as good as native speakers of English. Not in terms of being able to speak with great wonderful, beautiful accents, but in terms of my ability, our ability to communicate well in a way that is socially appropriate, in a way that is culturally appropriate as well. Novita, yes, Novita, I think she's been raising her hand since last week.
We have two Novis and both of them are raising hand. Okay, so which Novi first? Novita, yeah? Okay, Bu Novita.
Novita, yes, Damayanti.
Thank you, sir. Well,
yes.
I want to question about how to improve the students' ability. They are to motivate students who have too low motivation because they are maybe shy to talk about. Maybe they are a lack of vocabulary.
Yes.
How about increase their ability, especially reading comprehension? Thank you, sir.
It's a very good question. Yes, motivation is a big issue. If there's anything that you need to learn a new language, I think you need two things. Number one is the availability of interesting, enjoyable reading and listening materials, so that the students get to hear, get to see the language on a daily basis. Number two is motivation. Motivation is important because language learning takes time. Butuh waktu. Give and take, I think you need about 1 year. If after learning English or learning any language the right way for 1 whole year, and you still are not able to acquire the language at the intermediate level, then something is wrong. That means you may not have the motivation, you may not have the commitment, you may not have the time, you may not have the interest in learning the language. So let me say this again. I think you need some level of motivation, because language learning, just like any other kind of learning, takes time. Yeah. But I think you need at least 1 year commitment.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay. Number two, when your students are not motivated, Ibu Novita, when your students are not motivated, I think the very first thing you need to ask is, are you a motivating teacher? If the answer is yes, you are very motivating, you are an excellent teacher, you are an enjoyable teacher, you are a fun teacher, and your students are not motivated, something is wrong with your students. Yeah. So the big question to ask is, am I a motivating English language teacher? So very often it's not the students. Very often it's the teachers. Very often it's the teaching materials. Very often it's the lesson activities that are not interesting. And that is what makes students, have a very low motivation in language learning. You don't have to be a very smart person to learn English. English is very easy, as long as you have that motivation. If the students don't have that motivation, ask yourself this question: is it me or is it the students, or both? If you ask me, very often the problem is with the teacher. It's because the teachers are not interesting. It's because the teachers are not exciting. It's because the teachers are not enthusiastic. Yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah, that's a good point to reflect on, yeah, Pak Willy, for all of us.
Yes,
okay.
I think we are.
Thank you very much for the reminder.
Yes, we are often too quick to judge our students. Terlalu cepat kita menghakimi siswa kita. Hey, my students are not interested. Hey, my students are not very smart. Hey, my students are lazy. That's not true. That is just not true. Yeah, start with you as a teacher. Yes, the other Novita.
The other is Noviana.
Noviana.
Okay, Bu Noviana, your question, please.
Thank you, Purina, Pak Willy.
Yes.
Here I have a question related to reading competence with vocabulary. When I give my students reading tests and then they get a low score, and then always mention the reason that, Miss Novi, the vocabulary is too difficult. Always say that. And then based on my analysis in my class, that almost all my students just learn vocabulary based on the dictionary. When they find the difficult word, they directly open the Google Translate.
Yeah.
They don't look at the vocabulary based on the context. So, Pak Willy, can you give me perhaps some tips or some suggestion? So what should I do in my class, and then what make actually the student have such problems? Thank you, Pak Willy.
Yes, I think you have mentioned the problem yourself, that the students do not have a lot of opportunities to see, to learn words in context. And the best way for us to help the students to understand, to learn words in context is by reading. But the question is, what kind of reading? Now, the kind of reading that they have to do is not the kind of reading that they usually do in the classroom, because the reading materials that we use in the classroom usually is not interesting, not exciting. And the text usually has a lot of difficult words. Yeah, it won't work. If a text is a 100-word text, has 10 new words, there's no way the students will be able to understand the text. So they have to look it up in a dictionary. And looking up the word in the dictionary is useful for that particular event, for that particular session that they have with their reading. And after that, the meaning of the words will not stay in their head. So what you need to do is to provide students with a lot of opportunities to read and enjoy reading. And the best way for you to do is to provide students with a lot of easy reading materials, which is a point that I mentioned earlier. And Ibu Mita, Christina Mita, are you still there? Ibu Christina Laksmita. I think Sanatha Dharma has a very important role to play, because the Extensive Reading Foundation, Extensive Reading Affiliation was set up in Sanatha Dharma. And what happened back then was, a set of activities that have been developed to get the students to be interested in reading. Jadi Bapak Ibu sekalian, cara belajar yang paling efektif itu adalah dengan cara membaca. Satu ya, membaca atau mendengarkan atau viewing, watching movies. Ini adalah cara yang paling baik. But important for us to remember is that the reading materials, the viewing materials, the listening materials will have to be two things. Number one, easy. Number two, very interesting. If it is not interesting, the students will not continue doing it. They read something, they stop doing it. And that is not going to help. Yep. So it has to be the kind of reading or the kind of listening, the kind of movie watching that is very interesting. And the students will keep at it. The students will be, doing it without us telling our students to do it. And after some time, I think their grammar will develop a great deal, and their vocabulary will also develop a great deal. So the kind of things that we do in the classroom, in a reading lesson, for example, we have a very short reading passage, ya. Bacaannya pendek sekali dan sukar sekali. Setelah itu, we ask the students 5 comprehension questions, right? Very common in the classroom. That is not the most effective way of teaching reading. Itu cara mengajar yang keliru, salah itu. Yeah. I think we need to, in order to improve students' English language proficiency, I think the students will need to do a lot of reading, a lot of listening, a lot of viewing, a lot of watching movies as well. Matan, Ibu Noviana.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Bu Novi. Yeah. All right. Pak Willy, please allow me to read another question, or maybe one last question for this afternoon, yeah?
Okay.
Because people need to have some short break. This question is from one of our students also, PBI students, named Florin, yeah? Hello, Florin, are you still here?
Yeah.
Yes, Miss.
Calling Florin. Okay. Would you mind telling or asking Pak Willy yourself?
Yeah.
That would be much better. Okay, time is yours, Florin.
Oh, okay, Miss. Thank you. Mr. Willy, what are some effective ways to improve writing skills? Because sometimes my friends and I have some problems, and then we use Google Translate to help us in writing. Thank you, Mr. Willy.
Yes, you should not be using Google Translate.
I can sense that you.
Yes, you should.
I can sense that you feel guilty a bit.
Yeah, you should be using ChatGPT. I think things will be much easier if you use ChatGPT. Google Translate is not that powerful. Okay, I understand your question. Okay, point number one is this. Writing is very, very difficult. Baik dalam bahasa Indonesia ataupun dalam bahasa Inggris, writing is the most challenging. That's point number one. Point number two, how do we learn how to write? Apakah dengan menganalisa topik sentence, atau dengan menganalisa tata bahasanya? The answer is no. I don't think that is very useful. Yeah, people learn to write by doing a lot of reading first. Again, this is the connection between reading and writing. Yeah, good readers often become good writers. So when your students are not able to write very well, I think you need to increase the amount of reading that they do. Do that first. Let me give you a more practical example. If you want your students to be able to write a job application letter, I think they need to read kira-kira 10 atau 20 contoh application letter. Dibaca berbagai macam cara untuk menulis application letter. Setelah itu, setelah dibaca semuanya, baru step yang kedua adalah diperhatikan. You begin to pay attention to, hey, that's how they start the opening sentence. Hey, that's how they say when they want to talk about their strengths and their weaknesses. Yeah, but the starting point adalah membaca dulu. In my example, I think you need to read a lot of examples. This is something that is missing in our writing class. In our writing class, what you often do is, hey kids, brainstorm for ideas. After that, please create the first draft. That's the wrong way of doing things. The students will need to see examples, not just one, but many, many examples. And that requires a lot of reading. That requires a lot of rereading. After you have done that, I think you are in a much, much better position to write your first draft, not before. And yet brainstorming, no, it's not going to help. Brainstorming is just ideas, yeah, which is very important. You need to have ideas first. But the second most important thing that you need to do is you need to know how to structure your writing. You need to know how to create sentences. You need to know how to create paragraphs. You need to know how to develop your paragraphs and things like that. Yeah. And step number one, again, you need to see examples. If you want to write, for example, Mega, if you want to write a journal article, for example, don't do it in your own room and start writing. You can't. You need to see examples of how good articles about your topic have been written by other people. Look at them first. Look at 10, maybe 20 of them. And then slowly pay attention to how they develop their first paragraph, how they start their introduction, how they develop their literature review section. Yeah. So that is the reading and writing connection. So I understand your question again, that yes, because you don't have that knowledge, you take a shortcut. You look at Google Translate or you look at other tools to help you with the writing. It's a stopgap solution. Yeah. Itu solusi jangka pendek. do it if you have to do it. But in the long term, I think if you truly want to develop your writing skill, you need to increase your reading. Contoh yang ekstrim adalah seorang penulis. Seorang penulis novel, itu biasanya they spend 1 whole year reading, membaca dari berbagai macam sumber. Setelah terkumpul semua bahan, baik ide maupun style cara menulisnya, baru mereka kemudian mulai menulis. So reading should come first. The more reading you do, the easier for you to be able to write your own essay. Sama halnya dengan speaking. Kalau siswa itu tidak bisa menyampaikan pikirannya secara lisan, speaking, problemnya jangan diberi latihan speaking lebih banyak lagi. That's not the solution. What you need to do is to give them a lot of listening practice, the kind of listening that is similar to what they want to be able to produce later on. Again, the connection between listening and speaking, connection between reading and writing. It has to be like that. Thank you very much, everyone, for the questions, for the exchange of ideas. I hope you have found the conversation useful and relevant as well. Yeah, Burina, back to you.
Sure. Okay. Well, Willy, thank you very much for answering all the questions. But if I may conclude, one very crucial point in our teaching is to encourage our students to get as many inputs as possible, through reading, through viewing, through listening. And that could be solutions for almost all problems in English language classrooms.
Yes.
Okay, right. Thank you very much for the insights, Pak Willy. Unfortunately, we are limited by the time. Before we all leave the Zoom meeting, can we all turn on our cameras, because we will do a photo taking session, for documentation. Mas Yudo, can I have your help? Tolong Mas Yudo difotokan. Okay, let's wait until everyone turns on their cams. Finally, you're not hiding anymore, participants. Okay, so are you ready? Mas Yudo siap ya? Okay, halaman pertama, Keep smiling. Because we don't know which page we are on. Okay. Sudah belum Mas Yudo? Halaman selanjutnya. Monggo. Oke, halaman ketiga. Nggak kerasa ya Bapak Ibu di foto atau belum, ini nggak kerasa. Oke, so but I just go on. Halaman keempat. Dan finally halaman kelima di tempat saya ada 5 halaman, but maybe another monitor will show different pages. Okay, so to close this meeting, I would like to invite again Ibu Tri to say some closing remarks. Yes, Ibu Tri, time is yours.
Thank you, Burina. Am I audible there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
well,
very clear.
Pak Willy, on behalf of the study program, of course, and also the university, we would like to thank you very much for the very valuable time, for sharing your expertise with us. And well, it was a very amazing and inspiring presentation. And I do hope that we learn a lot from the presentation about the misguided beliefs and practices in ELT. To me, the provision of the research findings assure me and I hopefully all of us and can change our perspectives. So, and I believe that this morning till afternoon, we are very well guided by Pak Willy. All right. So not misguided, but very, very well guided. And personally,
I have a reflection for today, questioning myself. Am I an interesting teacher? Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah. Again, Pak Willy, thank you very much. And we will send our letter of appreciation to you very soon.
Thank you, Bu.
Thank you, Pak Willy.
Thank you, everyone. Please get a copy
All
of my
right.
slides from Ibu Tri or Ibu Rina. Free.
Yeah,
Free of
sure.
charge.
Yeah, it has been sent through the chat box, so everybody has got the materials. Okay,
Good.
again, thank
Yep.
you very much. So this is the end of our meeting, our Studium General with Dr. Willy Renandia. Thank you very much, Pak Willy. Thank you very much, dear all participants, Bapak Ibu Guru, PPG, mahasiswa, dan semuanya saja. Terima kasih banyak, and I'll see you in some other opportunity.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Have a nice afternoon.
Bye, everyone.
Pak Willy, see you again.
Bye, Mita. Bye, Mega.
Thank you, Pak Willy.
Bye, Putri.
Bye.
Pak Willy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.